Okay, we are recording. Before we start, I would like to ask you guys to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also share the video, right? It should be in the order. It should be like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel in that order, right? And, and thank you guys. So far, we're doing really, really well on this YouTube and BitChute channels. Today, or tonight, I'm speaking with Luca Occelli again. This is the third time that you've been with us, right?
Yeah, yes. Hello,
And
David. Hello, everyone.
hello. And he's going to bring some of his metaphysical knowledge to the table again, to our interview, and talk about authenticity, right? It's fascinating to me because I don't know if I've ever told you this, but part of my mantra, one of my mantras is authenticity, right? So for a long period of time, I have been working in the space. I realized that was one of the things that I wanted out of my life. So occasionally I will say, I am, I am the possibility of authenticity. That's what it was, right?
Beautiful.
That was part of what my mantra was. So this is why, one of the reasons why it's interesting to me. Can you tell people what is authenticity? What does that mean?
Sure. Well, I tell people, as always, what is my opinion about authenticity based on my experience and what I know.
Yeah.
But authenticity, it's basically who we truly are. We are all authentic. We are all unique. And authenticity means uniqueness and being congruent with who we truly are, with what we are truly passionate about. To live a life out of authenticity, in practical terms, it means to be contributing as much as we can in this lifetime to life itself, to everyone and everything, because we are one part in this huge system, which is the human system, but the cosmos itself. And if each one of us was honoring his or her authenticity, we would be moved by a very, very intimate but extremely powerful force that would tell us exactly what's the next move in order to serve the highest good of everyone and everything involved. That's how I see authenticity. Easier said than done, especially nowadays, and especially in every system, in every cultural system, because of the cultural education, which in other words means the cultural trainings we had to confirm since a very young age to what was considered to be right, what was considered to be wrong, and so on and so forth. And so sometimes we were not allowed to honor and act out of our authenticity. I'll give you an example. A little kid maybe one day would like to go out wearing a blue sock and a red sock. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? It's not harming anyone. And for him or her, it would be fun. It would be expressing his or her creativity and his or her power of choice. But maybe the caretaker, mom, dad, or the adult or whatever that is going out with them, is saying, no, that's not the way we do it. You must not wear two different color socks. So put on the same color socks. So he, at a very young age, he thinks, oh, my opinion, my power of choice is not right. It's not something that I am allowed to express. It's not something that I can express, because otherwise I get told off and so on and so forth. And so we disowned our authenticity, and in a way we disconnect with who we truly are, which is our essence, which is authentic in nature. And what do? We conform with the norm. And there's many people nowadays, and I would dare to say the majority of the population is not truly living out of authenticity. They're not shining as much as they would like to, because again, they haven't honored all the choices that they would have intimately made themselves. So if we don't, if we're not used to choose for ourselves and do things that we have decided, is very, very, very important. That, because maybe I would do exactly what the society and my culture would expect me to do, but it's very different if I do it because I've actually pondered upon it, and I think, yes, I want to wear, for example, to stay with the socks, 2 gray socks today. But if somebody else is telling me that I have to wear 2 gray socks, and I am not allowed to even think about would I like that or not, it's forced on me. And so I get used to, day after day after day, to do what other people want me to do, and I may end up, like many people unfortunately nowadays still do, and I may end up living a life that wasn't really my life, and I won't be singing my song from my heart. I wouldn't be playing the game and contribute what I authentically could give to this world, which would be come from my higher self, or my inner self. You could call it from life, from God. It doesn't matter what term we use. You see? So that's how I would describe authenticity.
And you made a point about living the life someone else has chosen. I mean, do you think people are really thinking this deeply about their lives, or how does one approach finding authenticity if for all your life you have not?
You're raising a very, very, very hot potatoes topic. I believe, and I see working with people, that it's some people they almost resist. They don't even want to go near what we are talking about, because it requires lots and lots of work, lots and lots of introspection. And let's say somebody who's an adult, maybe is already in their 30s, 40, 50, or 60, really, and they hear somebody else saying about, oh, you could be authentic, you could shine as bright as you can, you are here to live the life of your dream, meaning you're here to be all you can be in this lifetime, right? Now they know, because they know that they haven't really honored what they could have honored. So the thing is, it's quite complex. It depends really on the personality that a person has, but it's a process that people go through. And one of the issues that could be raised is the issue of self-blame and self-judgment and self-condemnation, meaning, oh, sugar, so I've been betraying myself all these years, right? Which of course you have not, because then it would have to be understood that it's nobody's fault. It's not something we do intentionally. It's because we were educated and trained this way. And one thing that I believe is very important to be aware of is that we did it. Everybody that, and I was one of them actually, until I woke up and I thought, what am I doing with my life? And even if we're not honoring who we truly are, and we are honoring the conditioning that culturally we have acquired, we do it out of love. We do it out of what is called blind love. We did it because we loved, we wanted to please
your family, your people, so on.
Exactly, our family, our culture. So it's all out of love. So that is important to put that always. To me, when I work with people, it's always important to put love into the equation, because that takes the blame and the condemnation and the judgment out of the way. So somebody can say, okay, up to today, I have been expressing love towards others, my family, my group, my culture, in a certain way, and also towards myself, because that was my way of getting appreciation and be validated and belong to the group, you know, because we all have a huge need for belonging, you see, and to not to adhere, not to go really against to education and programming, and the fact that they tell you, no, you must not wear 2 different color socks and so on and so forth. To say no to all that we would encounter the risk to be excluded. And especially at a very young age, we would not do that, because we need our parents, our society to take care of ourselves physically, and also to nourish us with love and affection. So we are, it's called the double bind. We are double binded. You know, we can't really be ourselves, because to be ourselves and to be authentic, it would really mean to piss off somebody else. And if we piss off that somebody else, we know that we are going to have trouble. And that parent or whatever could be so pissed off that doesn't take care of us anymore, you know? And also on top of that, we all have still in our reptilian brain, which is in the part of our brain, which is the very basic primitive ones, we have these ancestral memories of the fear of not belonging to a tribe, to a group. Why? Because once upon a time, which is not really that many 100 years ago, if we were expelled from the group, and if you want to be expelled to any group, what do? You act out of a guilty conscience. And the only thing you have to do is to do or think or say something that is against the normal beliefs or rules and regulation of the group, and and you would be expelled. So to be expelled once upon a time, it meant to be expelled from the village. So to go outside from the village, outside from the cave, would mean to have to face the lions, the tigers. You on your own, you were really vulnerable. You would have to hunt to get food, so you didn't have any help. Nowadays it's different. Nowadays we are at a time when, yeah, it's not nice not to be liked. It's not nice if people tell you you don't belong to this group anymore, or even if you don't belong to this family. I mean, it's not easy to face this. Although there's no lions or tigers outside, we don't have to fight for our food. If we are economically independent, we could be facing anything. But these feelings are so in our cellular memories, because at any given moment, if you think about it, we all pendulate according to the system we belong to, between being innocent or being guilty. Innocent and guilty. We are always innocent when we adhere, when we respect the family or the culture or our family group, and we do what they like us to do. We think what they want us to do. Otherwise, we feel guilty. And if you think about it, our own personal conscience, our own barometer of well-being or being innocent or guilty, it's not something that we own independently. We do if we have worked on ourselves so much, and big masters, they have done that. But what they have done, they have put everything into place. They have loved and respect where they come from, their family, their culture, and whatever. But they are in the system, but none of the system, meaning they have made each choice one by one by themselves. They know what their conscious is and what is floating their boats or not. But if you don't do that, I'll give you the example how you don't know what your true conscious is. Let's say you have a group of friends. Let's say they like to steal. Okay, they're like, let's say like gangs. You see gangs that they attack other people, they steal and whatever. Okay, in that group of friends, if you behave nicely, if you talk properly, if you don't, let's say something vulgar about somebody else, or if you don't steal like they do, you have got a dirty conscience in that group, and you may be thrown out from the group. Okay. Right. But let's say another group of friends or at school, you like studying and everything is completely different. The main rule of the group is that you are really educated, that you really give your best, and you really are respectful of people. So you would have a dirty conscience if you were not respecting somebody. Does it make sense? So this is when authenticity comes in. That's when, from the outside, I will be asking you about, well, who is you? Who are you? Who do you choose to be in any given time? Where is your authenticity? You see, that's why it's not easy. People, it's a big word, and people at the subconscious level, they know all this. We know all this. And it's like, whoa. So you would have to really sit with yourself and go, okay, what is really, truly important for me? What is my inner integrity telling me? Telling me who do I belong to, this group or that group, or do I not belong to either of them? And am I gonna be okay on my own? You see that they're very important choices.
So let me. There are a couple of things that have come to my mind as you were talking. The first is you're talking about a master. Let me just ask: does a master focus on his or her own self and be damned to whatever happens? Like, so in other words, you don't care one way or the other how a group is going to respond to you, because in essence, by you being authentic, either you'll form the group or you'll come to a situation, hopefully, where the people that are around you are understanding of what you're putting out. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think I understood, but I'll give it back to you, seeing if I understood. I think what you're saying is, yeah, okay. Again, this is my assumption, but I would say who we call it a master is somebody that he knows what his principles are, right? And for example, and he knows that unless he is like harming somebody else, is doing what he's doing and he's standing up for his own truth. Let's take as an example Jesus Christ, right? Jesus, he knows he was pissing off many people. I mean, probably because he was living with such a simplicity, with such joy, that some people could not stand. We work our ass off, we do whatever, and our life is a struggle. And he comes a man with nothing, and he talks about love and peace, and it's so radiant. But he would not deny what he was believing in. And he went as far as allowing people to crucify him. That's authenticity. And yes, he had some people that they were believing in what he was believing. So yes, he created his own following, but for its time, he had probably more enemies than friends. But as you say, it was such a. And when I say master, I'm not saying that he was better or worse or more or less than anybody else. I'm just saying a master in his own inner world. He was a master of his house. He knew everything was in place in his own psyche and word. He knew what was here, what was there. Nothing was left to the mercy of outside forces. Does it make sense? He knew where he was standing and what he was believing. So yes, it doesn't. A master, I don't think it would be. It wouldn't be afraid of standing alone on his own. Because if we are talking about a big master that really knows himself and the functioning of life, he would know that in whatever lifetime is a spiritual being having a human experience. So he would be aware and conscious of a bigger underlying reality. Like Jesus Christ, it would know that there was a dot in infinity. Anyway, if it's a story or a metaphor, I don't know, but he resurrected himself, didn't he? Because he knew, he was probably thinking, okay, you want my body, take my body. If this is the experience humanity has to have to understand something, go for it. I guess, to know what I mean? Oh, Buddha, for example. Buddha is also another big example that now some spiritual teacher nowadays, they almost criticize him, because what Buddha did really went again society and everything. He left his family. He said ciao to everybody. I mean, he left families, he left, you know, he dropped all his responsibility in the name of enlightenment.
Right.
You see, so it takes lots of guts to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like, hey, that's what I mean by having a conscious, a dirty conscious or clean conscious.
Right, right. But well, I guess my question is authenticity important in this particular time that we're living in, when so much is happening? Or can you just, you know, for me, I would say there's certain things that have been speaking to me for a very, very long time. And I knew that eventually I would address them. I can't imagine what it would be like if I never addressed them. So I knew that I had to, but I'm sure there has to be people out there who can hear whatever is calling to them, and yet they can ignore it, and there's no pain. That's my assumption. That's my assumption. And maybe there is pain, I don't know. But I put that out to say, is it important to be authentic? And if it's important, how does someone achieve authenticity, particularly in this time that we're living in? Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, a wonderful question. I think you actually answer your own experience, answered your question.
Oh,
you asked the question and you already answered your own question in your own experience.
Okay.
I'll come to it. But yeah, okay. Let's be clear here. Everything is important to people to the degree that they believe it is important or not. Like as you say, some people might think that all we are talking about is bananas, is irrelevant, and whatever else. And the first one to say, respect to you, that's your belief. Okay, that's fine. In your reality, that's it. Having said that, I personally believe, but I also think that biological and physicality, the nature will tell us, yes, it is fundamental to be authentic in any moment in life, any time, any cultural in any cultural era. Now more than ever, you are, in fact, I believe, you are literally stepping out into your authenticity. You've been at it for years, actually, of course, behind the scene. But now it's like, it's almost as if now it's a time, again, always, but because of whatever it's happening, is a time of crisis, of restructuring. So now it's truly when each one of us can stand up and say, because action is needed now. So to know what we can contribute and how we can contribute to humanity, it's now, again, it's very critical, and you are doing it. So yes, but this is a question for you. How do you feel when you do something that it's, let's say, authentic, and yes, it's say that when you feel authentic, when you feel you're contributing the most for others?
How do I
you feel? Yes.
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind, specifically with this channel or doing this social media channel, was I felt at ease, right? And I think we may have spoken about this before. I mean, it felt like I had been doing it forever, if that makes sense.
There we go.
Right?
Yes, that makes sense. And also, yes, but that feeling, it is a very powerful feeling. It is an emotional feeling. It is an emotional sensation or a state of being, although it has very, very deep consequences on your physical well-being. So the question is, do people that they're not authentic, they don't honor their authenticity, are they not aware of it? Of course they are. Maybe not consciously, maybe they're escaping it, but I tell you something. If somebody has got the potential of being, I'll give you an example, an architect or an engineer or a great cook or a taxi driver or a cleaner, and he or she doesn't honor that and does something else because, again, blind love and because of conditioning, okay, the
Disaster?
statistic is infinite, but well, yes, they may really be definitely not so happy, not so shiny, not so engaged and present, and they may even develop physical illnesses.
Okay.
Seriously,
Yeah.
because if there's all this energy, all this authenticity, which is energy, this power that is trapped in, it cannot be expressed.
Right.
We are not here to be repressed. Repression and keeping energy in, it's what also causes illnesses. See, I'm serious. And so we're here to express who we truly are. We're here to follow our bliss. Then if people don't want to do it, absolutely fine. Although we are here to be living at the best, which it could be very peaceful. It doesn't mean that everybody has to run. No, you could be really, but you just say at ease. You know when you're being authentic. You know when you're honoring your truth. When you are at ease, everything is flowing.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
it
Well,
wonderful? It's.
I would say when this came as a result of this crisis. So this opportunity to talk to people came as a result of the crisis. It was something that I was doing about 18 years ago. And when I did it 18 years ago, I did it very well. But I was not, let's just say, I was not comfortable with who I was entirely. So when there were some difficulties because I was doing what I naturally was supposed to be doing, I wasn't able to fend off the people that were coming toward me with maybe negative energy or negativity, right?
Sure, understand, yeah.
Now, because I really know what I'm doing and what I'm supposed to be doing, the moment that I see that, I cut it right off. So something happened today.
Okay.
You know, I do have a day job, as most people do. And I went and I spoke to a coworker about something very simple. And the person did not have, not a native speaker of English, but I sensed that there was some nervousness because there's a lot of change in our little group, right, our work group. So I said, you know, we're supposed to have meetings every week. Well, we don't have a meeting every week now because we have no leader, right? That leader went on to another level. So we are headless. So some people don't like that, right? They want to make sure that there's somebody telling them what to do.
Absolutely.
I made it my business to say, I'm not going to be the person telling you what to do. But what I will do is I will give you options, because that's what I give. When I'm assisting people, I give them options and I make them make the decision. Well,
that's wonderful. That's
she was angry at me. She was angry at me. I was like, I don't care. And I basically, she wasn't hearing me. And I had to say over and over again, this is what I'm telling you. We're not going to have a meeting this week or next week. But if you have something that's important that you need to tell the group, you let me know and I will, you know, I will make it happen. Well, she was not really comfortable being in that position, right?
That's it. You challenged her status quo, so to speak. Yeah. You were asking to her to be authentic, and maybe it's something that she wasn't used to. So, but right. You see, it requires work, and because when you're authentic, one thing that you have to face is responsibility.
Yeah, it is,
and it's not easy.
It is my experience that a lot of times there is an inverse relationship to leadership and responsibility. And usually you will find the people on the field, the pawns, the people on the street, on the ground, with a disproportionate amount of responsibility relative to their rank.
Yes.
And what ends up happening is that the people a little bit higher up can take the easy way out because they have the rank, right?
Absolutely.
So the rank
Yes.
helps them or absolves them of certain responsibilities. Not all. This is not true for all people. But what I do find is that, look, if your pay grade is higher, right? Don't come to me and say I'm the person in charge when I'm not. If the org chart says that I'm here and everybody else is here, my job is not to make decisions with regard to the group, right? So now we have somebody else that's in charge. That person is much higher up. She will make a decision when she wants to make a decision when she comes back from vacation, and you guys are gonna have to deal with it. But I'm not stepping in to anyone's shoes unless they ask me to do it. I can say I'm interested, I'm willing, but you guys are responsible for all of the things that you have been given your task. That's not my pay grade. And that, look, there was a time where I would have jumped over my pay grade. And in some respects, I think that I am, because I'm asking her to do that particular thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying,
yes, absolutely.
What do you want? What is your decision?
Yes, but yes. But even without going and analyzing why you did and what you did and whatever, you have been authentic. You felt to act in the way you acted, okay? And it felt okay.
Yes.
And you did it. And from what you tell me, you are at ease and at peace with what you did, right?
Absolutely.
So that's being authentic, exactly. If you would have, if in whatever situation, but let's keep it this situation, if you had done what you have done, not out of authenticity, you may well now being going over and over about it, or not feeling good about what you did, and the reason probably would be because you were not authentic, because you would have probably done something that you thought you should have done because somebody had told you and trained you to do this or that, but not because you felt like doing it. Because it takes quite a bit of degree of following our own instinct and intuition and act upon it. So yes. And
look, it might have been my issue all along, because I believe that I always have acted in this way, but maybe the issue earlier in my life is that I would have second guessed it, right? Or maybe in different categories of decisions. Like maybe there's certain decisions easy to do, but other decisions that are a little bit more high stakes.
Yes.
Let me ask you another question real quick. So again, how would somebody go about being authentic?
Yes, they would start.
I want to be authentic, Luca. I want to be, they come to you, I want to be more authentic.
Wonderful. I would invite you to, from now on, in regard to any situation, it doesn't have to be a huge, drastic, dramatic change. Even just take it step by step, with baby steps, but become aware of how you feel in regard to whatever situation you're in, or when you're faced with a choice. Ask yourself, I probably said this before, but this is very important, being authentic. Instead of just asking yourself, is this right or is this wrong? Which it comes from an outside judgmental system that's indoctrinated you. This is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. Forget about it. Ask yourself, how do I truly feel about this? And then wait and listen. Don't look for the answer in your head. No. How do I feel about this? Do I like this or not? And then ask your body. Your body will tell you. It would either go towards you, say, I like you, or you have like, oh, no. And then make your decision based also upon this. Does it make sense? And then you see what happened. What's the outcome? Because what happened is that when you start honoring yourself, even in small choices, you start feeling maybe that a little bit more aliveness in you that you hadn't felt before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and also something that seems really silly, but it's very important. If somebody is that goes to a restaurant or somewhere and they always say, oh, I don't know what to take, what have you ordered, or what would you like? They say, I don't know, you choose for me or whatever. No, get into the habit of choosing. I know you may not like, because you always let other people choose, but right from now, even something as silly as choosing between a Diet Coke, a Fanta, or a lemonade, you choose. So train yourself, your mind to intentionally go one direction or the other. You see little things like that, and that's why I mean, it's a process. It's a lifetime process. That's why also people that we think they're mastered, we see them up there, they know they are competent and whatever else. We don't know the work that is behind it. Does it make sense? You said it yourself years ago. You were doing this, but you weren't as confident as you are, because there's a I mean, but you worked on yourself, right? You've been working through whatever else, like we all are. I mean, it's a continuous process. Like, we don't just get anywhere and think, oh, this is it. No more challenges, no more problem, I've arrived. No.
Look, I will say this, that I knew that I had to live outside of the United States. And I was just telling somebody this other day, I knew that it was important. For whatever reason, it was important. And it didn't come the way that I thought it would come. Because I think I told you, the first foreign language I learned was Italian. So I was trying to move there. And it was like door closed, door closed, door closed, door closed. And then the opportunity many years later came through my then partner, who is Swiss. And then I was like, I think I'm supposed to do this, right? I think I'm supposed to do this. Now, you know, I got here, and much later there were other challenges, but I've been in Basel since December 2007. That's a long time, right?
13 years, yeah.
It's a long time. And let's say on my CV that I submit to people, what I've put also is my commitment to my alma mater. So I attended the University of Pennsylvania. People have watched the videos, they know this for a fact. My volunteer timeline, which is at the end of the CV, has been nonstop since 1998. Right? My jobs, the ones that, you know, people look at, if they only had that, they would be questioning, why'd you stay here only for 2 years? And why did you get what I mean? Like, if without the volunteer part, it's not that it's weak, but it doesn't give the full picture. So I even said to myself, you know what? I'm not leaving anything out. I don't care if the job is like a little low rung job, right? That, you know, it just gives me a little bit to, you know, I'm putting my volunteer experience in, right? I don't care if, and if it takes me a longer time. Now, I think I can afford to do that, but years ago, Luca, I mean, people were advising me to take things out. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it was like, oh, when, or this is another thing in New York, what we would do is, let's say somebody lived in a certain address that was very prominent. There used to be times where if big law firms would only hire you if you had a certain address. If you lived in the outer boroughs in Brooklyn, before Brooklyn became big, Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, they would not hire you.
Wow.
So in other words, earlier in my life, I had to make choices that were fundamental to my survival, right? And that's just one example of that. Now, as I moved along, now, in other words, there are people out there that feel that they can't really make the choice. They have no choice to be authentic. What do you tell those people that are
that they do have choices? but sometimes it's not enough to tell them. And this is when the conscious comes in. This is when we would have to see what is the cultural system, the tribe that they identify themselves with. Because maybe for them to tell themselves and others, and it would mean also to act out of the fact that they have choice, they may go against the tribe belief. People would say, who are you to think that you have choice? We don't have choice. You're out. Does it make sense?
Yes.
What I was saying before. And you don't belong. And it's terrifying for some people. So they would much rather suffer, but it's cozy. I'm in with my tribe. I'm with my family. Does it make sense? I know it seems doesn't make sense if somebody wants to live serene and step out from this mental conditioning, but it's easier said than done. I mean, really easier said than done to break through of this conditioning.
Yeah,
if possible, of course.
Well, is there anything else that we didn't talk about? So in this particular age, right, it's important. Maybe one of the reasons why, and I mean, you can help me, is that the stakes are higher now. It seems like, you know, we're in a time where there's so much change, so many things that are on the table. Some people are being forced to change or to move toward what they're supposed to be doing, right?
Yes. Now, in a way, I think it's easier. I think nowadays it's much easier than before. But again, some people might tell you a different story. My people will tell you, "Ooh, once upon a time things were easier." I am not one of them. I think it can be as easy as you make it in any given time. I mean, if you want to make an excuse that now is difficult and once upon a time life was easier, whatever, I don't think so. I think if you want to do it in whatever time and age you are, you can do it. So no excuses. Easier said than done again, because you know, you have to address certain fear and issues that you may have to break free and honor your authenticity. But if we want to do it, we can do it. Easier said than done, yes. Worthwhile doing it, absolutely yes.
Okay.
Then again, what do you really want? I invite people asking, what do they want? If people would ask themselves every day, what am I here to do? What is the song that my heart is here to sing?
Yes.
If you ask yourself that question every day, more than once a day, you may get the answer. And then you would have to move your ass and go and get the guitar if you want to become, if music is your passion, or you have to learn driving if you want to become a taxi driver, or learn how to cook if you want to be a cook. But it becomes thrilling. It becomes, life is a challenge anyway. Things happen. So face challenges that they turn you on instead of pissing you off. I think, anyway.
Well, I think we'll leave it at that. I mean, easier said than done, I'm sure, right? I mean, it really is. I mean, you know, for you guys, you know, I've been working on myself for a very, very long time, and it has not been easy. And how else can I say it? It has not always, I mean, there were some pretty dark times, which, you know, eventually over the series, you know, my story will come out more and more and more, right? It's a multifaceted, but I tell you that I would not have done something like this years and years ago, right? Only because I've been studying it and watching other people. And then all of a sudden, when the pandemic hit, I was like, now's the time. And it flowed so nicely. I didn't even have to think, should I be doing this? Like, you know, usually that's what I would have said in the past about everything. Should I, you know? This was like, okay. Sort of not resignation, but a little bit more than a resignation. The resignation happened quickly. So I did not feel like a big sigh. Right. And in other words, you know, we'll also say this. I mean, Luca and I had been talking for how many years before this moment? This was
quite a few years.
Like maybe 5 or 6 years, right?
Definitely more. Yeah, 5 or 6 at least, maybe 7 or 8. Yes. Yeah.
And so long that I've lost track. I mean, it didn't seem like that long, but when the moment came, I said, this is how Luca's gonna, you know, this is how we're gonna have those conversations that we had earlier. So
Yes.
anyway, thank you, Luca.
Thank you very much for having me here.
You know, don't ask me
Thank
why
you.
I'm laughing, but hey, look, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and you know, have a great evening, Luca. We'll talk to you soon
Thank
again,
you.
right?
You too.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone. Yes.
Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye, everyone.